Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast by Woodland Direct. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry, one of our resident Master Hearth professionals. Today's topic is wood fireplaces, prefabricated and modular boxes. Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Beautiful Michigan day out there, nice and cool. The high 50s. Oh, it's beautiful out. Perfect for a wood burning fire.
It is perfect for a wood burning fire, isn't it? I am heading to the cabin a little later today, and I gotta tell you, I have chores that I need to do at the cabin, but all I really want to do is get there and get in the chair in front of the fire pit and just sit. You know what I mean? There may be an adult beverage involved, but there's just nothing better here in Michigan.
No, especially with the leaves changing up there. That's going to be beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Randy, let's talk about wood burning fireplaces, man. You know, we sell a lot of gas fireplaces and we sell a lot of wood fireplaces as well. And probably one of the biggest questions we get is, you know, what is this metal box? And how does it differ from, you know, something that's masonry? And we end up educating customers on prefabricated boxes and then modular boxes. So let's just dive right into it here. What is a prefabricated box?
A prefabricated box, you know, in some places call them zero clearance fireplace boxes. They are essentially metal chassis that burn wood with the correct chimney flue on them. They're going to be able to be framed in 2x4 construction. You know, it'll have the clearances built into the framing for the fireplace itself, and may or may not have an option for a blower underneath the unit to force some of the heat out of it, because you do have heat circulating units, and then you have radiant units. Starting with a radiant unit, it's just a simple 36-inch square fireplace box. It's just a metal chassis with a refractory fire brick panels on the inside of it, and you know, may have like a 12-inch diameter, 8-inch diameter flue, depending on the manufacturer, you know, that goes up. So the metal boxes are easy installation, opposed to building a full masonry fireplace. Somebody's doing a remodel, for example, and they can just follow their contractor can follow the framing dimensions, frame it up, install it into a wood frame structure, and then do all of their stone and finish work on the face of it. It's a very simple, inexpensive way to get a wood-burning fireplace into a home.
Yeah.
They're also available in what's called a heat circulating unit. So same principle, it's a metal box, metal chassis, has a refractory brick in it, and the difference is these units will have a vent at the bottom, at the top, where it's pulling fresh air in via a blower that's underneath the unit, so you don't see it. It's like underneath the firebox floor. It's drawing fresh air in the lower louvers, discharging it out the top to get a little bit of benefit from the fire, the heat coming off of the refractory panels and the chassis of the unit. But still, it's into a 2x4 constructed frame. So very simple. A couple different applications as far as the styles of usage.
What is the benefit, Randy? And, you know, I think that's probably the biggest reason why prefabricated boxes get sold. But what is the benefit to using one of those versus your old school, hire a mason and have him come in and put in a masonry style fireplace?
The main benefit would be cost and time. You're looking at, they're relatively inexpensive. You can easily get a fire box for, as low as, $450.
Right.
And then you have to add your chimney components that may add an average of $500 to $800 for the chimney components. So let's just say, $1,200, you can have a fire box, the chimney components, and then you have a contractor to install it, where you might have, for that same size fireplace and getting a mason out there to build it from scratch, you could have, $12,000 into that fireplace. Right. By the time it's all said and done, making it out of block, clay line chimney, things like that. And it's not to take away from those guys, because those guys have their place in the business, and it's a skill in its own that, as far as building those. But that's really the benefit of the prefabricated / zero clearance fireplace.
Dollars are definitely the difference. And what I want to point out there, though, is anytime you find something that's less, it's going to look less as well, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not masonry, to a certain extent, depending on the models, because we have we have quite a few of these different style of models. You know, you might see 3 to 4 inches of black steel across the top and across the bottom, or if you do kind of what they call like a kind of a clean view wood burning unit, you're still going to see some, you know, metal steel. I mean, it is a metal box.
Yeah.
As you said, you're changing the dynamics of the looks quite a bit by doing a zero clearance. However, it is a very economical way to, you know, and we get folks all the time. It's like, we don't have a fireplace. We want a wood burning fireplace. This is how much we have to work with, budgeted for this project.
Absolutely. And you know, you mentioned a wood burning box for about $450. They're super common in tract homes across the country. Most of these tract home builders have contracts with the major manufacturers of fireplaces, and they get those fireplaces dirt cheap. And it's why sometimes you'll walk into a home and go, wow, this is beautiful, and then look at the fireplace and go, not so much.
Yes.
And that is, it's because that metal box goes into place. Now, that isn't, I don't want to downplay the zero clearance box, because it's also excellent, Randy, in terms of weight, right? When you throw a bunch of masonry with a full masonry chimney onto a floor, you now have to take into consideration how much weight is being placed per square inch and reinforce and do all those things, correct?
Absolutely. So, you know, you're looking, a very simple firebox may only weigh about 125 pounds with the chimney parts on it.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more, less, you know, they're going to vary because, you know, you can get those boxes from 32 inches, you know, all the way up to like, you know, about 50 inches or so in a prefabricated box.
Right.
But compared to a masonry where they're going to have to pour a footing and foundation, building it from scratch, a little bit more challenging to do something like that if you're just doing a simple remodel. New construction, a little bit different. So a lot of folks are going into the modular units, still not a prefabricated version, but a modular.
Yeah, so let's finish with the prefabricated boxes. Prefabricated boxes range from the $450 all the way up. When it comes to prefabricated boxes, there are a lot of different options. The beauty of them is there's zero clearance. You can put your framing right around it. They have little bump outs on them that let you know how far or how close you can come to the metal box itself. They're mass produced. They're all within particular specs, and you know exactly what you're getting.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast.
What happens, though, is people want that masonry look, but maybe, Randy, don't have the ability to put a foundation in or to support the floor, or it's a new build and they don't want to do all of that. What the next option becomes a modular box. Talk to us about what a modular box does.
Modular fireplaces are going to be the closest thing to the real on-site built masonry fireplace that you're going to get. They're going to be made up of some type of humus material, and they are going to assemble the fire boxes themselves. Are going to come in pieces. So they're going to go together like Legos. All the pieces they're pre-cut, they're pre-labeled, and they're going to stack with inside of each other. And then on the inside of them, it is going to be real fire. You're going to actually use a real fire brick material, just as if the mason was using and building a brick fireplace and fire brick inside. So you're going to use the real fire brick on the inside. The other nice thing about the modular is, I mean, you can custom size these things. You know, stock sizes all the way up to 72 inches wide. So you've got some more options as far as sizing goes. You're stepping into something that is going to, when it's finished on the face edge, there is no steel box. So when it's done, it looks like it's actually a masonry fireplace built into somebody's home. We're going to, talking about weight, you're going to be a little bit heavier. We talked about a box that might be 150 pounds all in with the metal chassis and some vent piping, depending on the size box. Just the fire box part of a modular unit, may weigh 1,100 pounds.
Yeah.
So is it necessary to pour a footing and foundation? It may be in the city that somebody's in, so that's going to be something that's where the contractor is going to check and see what the requirements are based on the overall weight. However, with the chimney components, because you have options of using the masonry chimney components on a modular or a metal flue pipe with the modular to save weight, and then they can be actually placed on a wood subfloor. Now, that your contractor is going to make sure that it's structurally sound enough to support, 1,100 pounds plus the fire brick, couple hundred pounds plus the metal chimney. So let's just round it up, and let's just say that we're at 2,000 pounds for this fireplace now. But it can go on wood. Each of the manufacturers in a modular have some type of lift that's made out of metal that will sit on the wood subfloor. The fireplace sits on that, so it gives it its clearance to combustible for the floor part of it.
Yep.
But also, kind of like a zero clearance, the modular unit is going to have a wood stud frame construction chase, except when you're finished with it, you have the most realistic looking fire, aside from building a true masonry on-site build.
I mean, the best way that I ever tried to describe it is it's Legos for masonry, right?
Absolutely.
It's just you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and we take these things to shows with us, and we'll dry stack them right there at the show for people to be able to see basically the building blocks of a masonry fireplace in whatever size you want. Let's talk to that, Randy. When it comes to the fireplace opening, you're limited to whatever sizes the manufacturer has determined sell the best when it comes to your prefabricated boxes. But when it comes to modular boxes, what sizes can I get in terms of openings?
No, and that's a great question. Stepping back to the prefabricated zero clearance fireboxes, on average, most of those are going to have we'll call it an opening width of 36 inches. But then their opening height is going to be in the neighborhood of 21 to 24 inches on average. With most manufacturers, it is pretty standard. Mm-hmm. When you go to a modular unit, you're instantly going to something that is going to be about 36 inches still the opening after your fire brick to 28 to 32 inches. And this is just your basic opening. However, with modular, because it is in pieces, you can actually get height kits. Most of the height kits, your sidewall pieces are about 9 inches, 7 to 9, depending on the manufacturers out there. So you can actually instantly add one height kit to your fireplace and gain 9 inches of viewing area. So now all of a sudden you're 39 high by 36 wide, or 42 wide, 39 high. And you can manipulate a modular unit in that fashion where you cannot do that with the prefabricated fireplaces. And then with the modular, they can be custom made. If we have somebody that wants a 100-inch modular, we can get someone to custom build something that big.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Randy. Your prefabricated boxes, your metal boxes, those manufacturers are working off of their marketing numbers, their sales numbers, and they're saying, okay, these are the most common sizes that people want. And that's what they do. And they do an excellent job at what they do. That is...
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're awesome. We've carried them for over, 12, 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
And they do a great job. They've been around, gosh, I remember my dad having one put in years ago in one of our houses,
Yep.
And I'm old.
Yeah. You and me both, brother. That's the solid point there. They do an excellent job. But when it comes to that masonry look, and when it really comes to the ability to change the size, that's where modular really comes to play. And they're sweet. I mean, some of the manufacturers we have, which we carry all the major manufacturers when it comes to modular, they are willing to work with especially our designers and our contractors who are saying, hey, we have something that we need to be a particular length. I think of especially commercial environments. They don't necessarily want a rip-roaring fire because it's in a commercial environment, but they definitely want something that is going to have that wow factor. It's going to pop. You walk into a lobby, and here's that, like you said, 100-inch fire that's going, and we have the ability to do that. So one of the best things to me about modular fireplaces is you can use them indoors, but you can use them outdoors as well.
Absolutely. And I do a lot of commercial properties, whether it be, outdoor patios. Well, outdoor patios a lot. What my landscape contractors love about these, they'll receive the modular unit. They will metal stud hardy board around it, the framing. And then usually within a couple days, that is done. It's installed. their hardy board framing is installed. They do a simple like 6-inch dry stack stone on it, and they're completely done. Versus, CMU block, building a block wall, building the masonry fireplace, brick and mortar clay line chimney. They're time savers in the scope of and that's, time is money for these guys. In a lot of areas like Michigan, for example, we're limited on our season for our guys. They need to get as much done within the time that they have in their season. Unlike, you and I both lived in Texas where they're going all season long, and I do a ton of these down there actually.
Right.
But more like in the cold climate areas, these guys, time is money, and they want to get these things done. So and I know I'm saying it sounds easy, but it's simpler than doing a full masonry structure, and that's really where these really come into play. And that goes for the interior as well. Interior construction build may not have a couple weeks to be able to have the skilled mason in there to do that, or maybe it just doesn't fit for the design where this does, for space, for time, for money. So it's a combination of everything.
Yeah, I think of prefabricated boxes going outside. They have stainless steel to them. They change their box so that it's going to last in the elements. But just the modular option gives you something that is going to be outside forever. That is one of the things to consider when you're looking at that modular option. In terms of speed, you're 100% right. That is the fastest way to get something in place that is fully masonry. If we just want to talk about speed, you can throw a metal box inside of those studs as well. And we have a lot of contractors who do that because they're zero clearance, and you run them up and out. But a lot of what you see out in people's patios, especially in commercial environments, are going to be these modular style fireplaces. And then whatever you want, if you want to burn wood in it, go for it. If you want to, if you're in a commercial environment, you run a gas line to it. And you can, we have the option of some monster gas log sets that you can put inside of these things as well with some of our gas log partners. In terms of the lifespan, when it comes to outdoors, modular is a great way to go, and it's a quick way to stack it, put it together, and be on your way. Anything else you wanted to discuss between, the differences between prefabricated and modular boxes?
Prefabricated units, we talked about the structure. The fire brick inside of them they're typically panels. So the fire brick is like a refractory brick, or if you get into some of the larger high-end units, it's an actual real fire brick, but they're still panels. It's like a 4-panel system. When you're doing modular units, depending on the manufacturer, they may have a panel setup of fire brick, but most of them are real fire brick. So, we're going to ship 300-400 fire brick pieces that are going to have to be laid by somebody skilled with the fire retardant mortar. I know we've made it sound, nice and simple, and it is compared to building a stone fireplace from scratch. But there is going to be a certain degree of skill needed, especially when it comes to the interior part of it and actually laying the fire brick on the inside of it.
Yeah, that's a solid point. I never want to detract from our mason pros who are out there. They actually use these quite a bit because it saves them a ton of time. They know they're getting excellent lifespan out of these, and it allows them to really hone in on their craft, and that is the finished look. That's what's the most important, is how this fireplace is going to look for the client when it's done. So you're 100% right. I'm glad you brought that up, Randy. Shout out to our masons out there who do this work. I watch them do particular things. We'll get pictures from our clients, and you just go, man, that is an art in and of itself. So keep in mind that there is still labor involved in terms of skill set when it comes to a modular box. Can a pro do it? Absolutely. Mason is excellent at it. And that is one of the major differences. When you get a prefabricated box, you're going to be able to put that in place, slide those panels into the unit itself, and be done. So that is something to consider when it comes to the difference between prefabricated and modular boxes. Well, brother, I always appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for doing this with us, man. Woodland loves Randy Mowry, I can tell you that.
No, I appreciate you guys. I always love doing these podcasts and whatever we can do to help folks out and clear up any questions on our podcast, and then anything that they still need answers to, just always call us.
Absolutely. You know what? If you have heard something here today that you want to get some clarification on, or if you just want to email us an idea that you have for the podcast, go ahead and email us at podcast@woodlanddirect.com, or you can call us and leave us a message. That number is 586-221-3638. And if you just want to call and talk to one of our Master Heart professionals here at Woodland Direct, if you need help and you need an expert like Randy to walk you through some things, or even just technically troubleshoot, give us a shout. That number is 877-919-1904. You have been listening to the Experts in Fire podcast by Woodland Direct. Thanks for joining us today. Next time, we'll be discussing the hazards of installing gas products without a professional. We'll see you then.